Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and today we're going to talk about the Mandarin issue. Now, the Mandarin's an Iron Man villain. You might remember him from Iron Man 3, where he was also known as Trevor. This was a controversial move since the Mandarin's actually a real Iron Man villain from the comics, and a rather long-standing one at that. Not only is this true, but he's also one of Iron Man's biggest villains. And while earlier depictions of this villain were a little questionable, which is probably what pushed Marvel to create Trevor as this sort of fake Mandarin that the other guy was using as a fake proxy to distract Iron Man and the government from his real plans, or something like that. The real Mandarin is a man from China who discovered alien ruins and got him these 10 rings, which gave him formidable powers. But he was very much sent up to old-style, kind of racist depictions of villains such as Fu Manchu. Now, that being said, the Mandarin was eventually modernized and turned into a much more, we'll say, elegant villain. And I'm specifically thinking of Matt Fraction's take on him during his run with Iron Man, sometime before Dark Reign and that era of Marvel Comics. So we're left with this issue. There's people who are strong defenders of Iron Man 3. They will claim it is the best of the Iron Man movies, or even one of the best MCU movies that had a strong emotional arc to it, and Trevor was really funny and an unexpected take on a Marvel villain. And really, when we look at the MCU villains, who have always been a little lacking, Trevor was memorable and interesting and funny, and Ben Kingsley did a great job with him. Yet it wasn't anything close to the Mandarin we know from the comic books. I'm a little conflicted, because on the one hand, I really like that Matt Fraction take on the Mandarin. In my opinion, that's the best version of this character. Still strong and serious, but maybe not over the top and goofy looking. Finding a balance that works without compromising the original integrity of the character. Because yes, there was integrity. He was a dangerous and powerful villain. I really think that a modernized version of Mandarin, like we see in Matt Fraction's Iron Man, would have been really interesting and powerful and would have helped with Marvel's pretty underrepresented Asian community in the MCU. But I kind of understand why they were hesitant, because it would have involved a million people doing think pieces about it and wondering whether or not it's appropriate. It was a lose-lose situation for Marvel, so I have a lot of empathy for them in that regard. Plus, the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 was pretty clever, and it had room in its plot for there being a real Mandarin out there. One that we haven't seen yet, but could very well turn up one day in a future MCU property in all this glory, with all the power of that character. Remember, this is a character that, during that Matt Fraction story, brought Iron Man to his knees. He tore down his company and nearly defeated the villain himself. He has so much power to him. It's such a cool character, and I really hope one day we do get to see him on the big screen proper. I think that's where a lot of fan frustration comes to play with Iron Man 3, is that it prohibits the Mandarin from being depicted on the big screen in a major way, and it will be that way for years. It might be we won't see a proper Mandarin until Iron Man is fully rebooted decades down the road. That is frustrating, and that's worth being upset about. You get a lot of movie critics out there who are super dismissive of this criticism, yet I feel it's relevant. It's kind of crummy that they did this and basically locked away any good Iron Man villain from ever showing up in any of the Iron Man movies. None of them are that strong to begin with. We have bigger, worse Iron Man from the first movie. We have Whiplash from movie 2. He was alright, yet again feels underused and wasn't fully realized. In the end, Iron Man just ended up fighting a bunch of his other suits. And then Iron Man 3 just kind of became the whole thing with Warren Ellis's extremist stuff. That was fine, but these are two different things. Trying to do both ended up being at the great disservice of the Mandarin. So yeah, I am a little stingy about this. Iron Man 3 is a weird movie to begin with. There's that kid running around. It's a Christmas movie that was released during the summer. It's not the best movie in the world. So to pretend otherwise is a little bit silly as well. And talking about it, I am definitely coming across harsher on the opinion against it than I thought I would have going into the filming. I was a lot more in the middle, but as I spell it all out and I think about how great this character could have been, and I think about the opportunity cost in all of this, yeah, it is disappointing. I wish they had put more thought into it, or just not wasted the Mandarin on Iron Man 3 and left it open for the future. I don't know if there's ever going to be an Iron Man movie anytime soon. As I kind of hinted, I think it might be like a full decade before they swing around back to that. Because in the meantime, we're going to get Black Panther movies. There's still a third Guardians of the Galaxy movie to get. We're probably going to get a full series of Doctor Strange movies, and definitely that for Spider-Man too. Whatever Marvel's planning, it seems likely that Tony Stark isn't going to be a permanent fixture of that forever. In fact, there's a big Avengers movie coming out, and I have a feeling that might be it for our beloved Tony Stark. I could be wrong. I am speculating and just going by all the information you guys have. Like, I haven't seen anything or haven't talked to anyone within Marvel, so I'm just guessing. But people are talking about, like, it sure seems like someone's gonna die in Infinity War. Everyone seems to be talking about it being Cap and that sort of thing, but I think it's Tony Stark. And then what? Like, when will we ever see an Iron Man again? I don't know what Disney's plans are in that regard long term. I don't think they really have plans in that regard. They know what they're doing through the rest of Phase 3, which I think is pretty much coming to an end with Infinity War. And then they have Phase 4 pretty much mapped out at this point. Beyond that, I don't think there are plans. We'll see where things go. But they're not going to stop this anytime soon, so I'm very curious what form the Avengers will take going forward, what their plans are post-Thanos, and we're going to see. Not too long from now either, so that's pretty exciting. So yeah, you kind of have to take the MCU's limitations and flaws for what they're worth. It sucks that we don't get the Mandarin in proper form, but that doesn't mean we won't get him in the comics going forward, and it doesn't mean that we can't do more with this character. But it does mean the MCU has effectively locked him out for now. Yet, when we go forward, if they ever reboot this character, this is a prime territory for them to cover that hasn't been properly dwelled on before, so that is nice. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Where do you stand on this controversy? What do you guys think of Iron Man 3? If you can't tell, I have mixed feelings on that movie. It's not my favorite Iron Man movie, that's still Iron Man 1, and it's definitely not my favorite MCU movie, or superhero movie in general. Yet I know some people who defend it really well, and I'd love to hear what you guys think if you're one of those people, because I find that opinion interesting. I don't necessarily share it, but I can understand it. There's aspects of Iron Man 3 I really like. Certainly the scene at the end with all the suits running around. I like the resolution and dealing with the whole post-Avengers Tony Stark and him having like flashbacks and traumatic episodes about that. Him reconciling his relationship with Pepper and then giving up the suits. That was a nice story arc. It's completely out of place with the rest of the MCU where Tony immediately has suits following this and is never dealing with these flashbacks or PTSD ever again, but it's a good movie on its own. If you like this video, be sure to check out our Patreon page in the video description below. Finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.